Hey there, great to see you and welcome aboard and congratulations for signing up, because whilst you're here improving your skills and making sure you don't make some of the common mistakes that are commonly being made, other people aren't. And that gives you and your team and your organisation an advantage. So well done, fantastic stuff. The way this is going to work is we are going to work our way through the first 7 of the 21 most common mistakes in this first video, and then the other 14 in the second video, which sounds obviously unevenly distributed, but the reason for that is these first 7 are all to do with running of meetings, and they're a little bit denser and chunkier than the second batch of 14, which are much more to do with things like the technology, the lighting, the sound, the camera angles, which are fairly quick and easy problems and solutions that we can make our way through. So let's get stuck into it. Number 1, too many meetings. This is the single biggest problem that I am hearing, the single biggest complaint that I'm hearing at the moment, is that leaders are overcompensating for the fact that we don't have the incidental communication we would normally have in the kitchen or at the desk. And as a result, people's schedules are simply jam-packed. And video calls are tiring. It's hard to concentrate on other people and try and read those tiny little faces online, and you're seeing yourself in a way that you wouldn't normally in real life, and that makes you self-conscious and uncomfortable, and that's tiring. So I had a media executive say to me recently that he's attending these meetings and just literally tuned out for the entire thing until it's his turn to contribute. I had a senior associate at a pharmaceutical company tell me she's being invited to even more meetings than normal that aren't relevant for her. So what can we do about it? Challenge the meeting. Do we have to have it? Do we have to have a group meeting? Does it have to be a video call? Because it seems that just because we've discovered these video conferencing apps, now suddenly everything is a group online video call. Don't forget your old technologies like phone and email as a way of staying in contact and up to date. It's more personal and less tiring. Don't forget the newer chat apps like Slack and Yammer and Teams. Use those to keep up the banter on the side and little bits of update, and you might be able to take the pressure off those overpacked schedules. Number 2, badly run meetings. So to the degree that meetings are often run poorly live in person, so they are orders of magnitude worse online. So we've got the usual things like lack of clarity around objective, purpose, why are we all there, the agenda, how things are meant to be organised. We've got distractions, we've got people not paying attention, we've got people speaking over time, we've got unclear outcomes, time overruns. How do we manage all of this? Okay. This is normally a 2-day facilitation skills workshop in its own right that I am now going to cover with you in less than 2 minutes. So here we go. We're going to go through 6 steps of running an effective online meeting. And I'm just going to highlight where we need to do a bit more than we would in a live meeting, where a bit more effort needs to go in to an online meeting, because it needs more pre and post meeting communication, more touch points as it were, but it also needs a higher level of facilitation during the meeting. So let's do it. A, pre-communication, get out the agenda and the objective in advance and the expectations for the meeting. Ask for feedback, make sure people are across it, ask for any additions, subtractions, amendments that you would like made. B, the setup of the meeting needs to be really clear, so I'm going to emphasize this. For online meetings, you need the ground rules set up at the beginning and agreed upon. And those ground rules need to include things like how long's the meeting going to go for, how long is each section going to be, what are you going to do if there are time overruns and one person is either dominating the meeting or blowing out the time. Set that up front so we all know what to expect, and just use words like, look guys, if things are running over time, please bear with me, don't take it personally, I'll just be wrapping you up in order to move us on and make sure we cover the whole agenda and achieve what we need to achieve within the next half an hour. So be really polite about it, and it buys you permission then for later in the meeting to rein somebody in. Also, let people know the amount of participation you're expecting, that you will be looking for feedback and input from everybody so that there's some level of equal share of voice. And that will also give us pre-warning of the level of involvement that's going to be expected. Okay, C, reining people in. When it happens, someone does start over talking, it may be on topic or it may be entirely off topic, you need to be able to rein them in. And what that looks like is just saying very politely, God's gift to the presenting and facilitation world is the phrase, in the interests of time. So you go, look, Joe, it's a perfectly valid point and I hear what you're saying is, and you try and do a little summary, but I'm very conscious of time and I'm aware we want to get through some more. And we also haven't heard from some other people in the meeting who I'd like to hear from now. So do you mind if you just hold fire there for a moment? So you can be very nice about it, but still rein them in and ask them to maybe have a word with you later. Happy to chat with them later to find out more. Yeah? Okay. In terms of, so I think we're up to D, which is about then getting everybody else in. One of the ways that you want to include everybody is you can actually go around the whole room. They can be pre-warned. You can say, I want to get everybody's input on this and give everybody a chance to speak. The wrap-up needs more effort than you would in a live meeting. We need very clear summary of what's been covered. And we also need very clear outcomes in terms of who's going to be doing what by when. And then finally, the follow-up requires more effort than normal. Again, that summary needs to go out to everybody. That summary of who's going to be doing what by when, the accountabilities, all needs to be there and clear and clearly laid out and followed up. Okay, there's our 2-day facilitation skills, not quite in 2 minutes. Let's move on. Number 3, not knowing how people are reacting. This is huge. It's incredibly difficult to read people who've got a face this big on a screen. You can't see their normal facial reactions. You're not getting the grunts of approval or disapproval. You're not seeing the nods or the shaking of the heads, all those things that make up the reading of a room normally. So we don't know how the message is landing. We don't know whether they're even taking out the right message or how they are feeling about it. So what can we do about that? We need to check in. We need to check in more regularly than we normally would. We need to be more specific in our questions to them. We need to ask things like, guys, I really want your feedback. How are we doing here? Is this making sense? Have we got any questions? Have we got any concerns? Ask questions like, have you got any input? Have you got any suggestions? How would you tweak this? So see if you can actively solicit feedback in a way that you might not need to, because people are more willing to jump in a live meeting. And then follow up. After the meeting, get out some information, maybe a summary, but ask for that feedback again. It's the only way you can really do it. If, by the way, this is a really big important message from a senior leader to a large audience, get in touch about our Compass tool, because we can help you measure exactly how that message is landing. Little plug on the side there. Number 4, a lack of leadership presence online. So this needs to be said, to the degree that it's hard to make a real life presentation engaging, so online announcements and updates can be soporifically boring. We don't have the range of movement that would normally give us a certain sense of presence, where you'd be moving forward to the slides or back to the screen, where we move over to the side maybe to do something on a whiteboard. So all that range of movement that gives us a sense of command of the room isn't available to us. What can we do to make it engaging and build a presence when we're just a face on a screen? All right, there are 3 things we need to vary up to make it interesting and engaging. We want to vary our content, our slides, and our delivery. What do I mean by that? In terms of the content, we want to add stories, analogies, examples, surprising statistics. We want to include rhetorical questions, anything that gives what I call a heartbeat moment. You know, you think about those cardiac monitors, the highs and lows. You want something that suddenly varies or shakes up from the monotone of fact after fact after fact, bullet point after bullet point after bullet point. So varying up your content deliberately, consciously, plan it in advance. Number 2, vary the slides. Certainly keep them succinct like you would in any standard presentation. So the 5x5 rule applies, which is no more than 5 bullet points per slide, 5 words per bullet point. Vary them up so you've got graphs, bullet points, tables, pictures, so a range. And also vary up the times when you're sharing your screen and just a talking head in the corner with a voiceover to the slide versus stop sharing and just be a face to screen and talk with your people for a while. Thirdly, vary your body language. So this is the top half, your body language. You can use your hands. You can move forward into the screen when you want to be very emphatic. You can move back to tell a story. Use your voice, use your pausing. If it's a really important presentation, rehearse it and make sure you're getting some variety into play. And you can you have the capacity to really bring this to life and display some conviction and some authority and give it some emphasis and some impact. Number 5, not demonstrating leadership through uncertain times. So there's always unknowns in business. There's always multiple variables. It can be hard to know where we set a goal and what's the best course of action for getting there. Even more so now in this difficult economic environment, so many unknowns, no easy or obvious solutions. How do we demonstrate leadership under those circumstances? So our mantra as a leader during difficult times is transparency, empathy, courage. Transparency around what you do know and what you don't know. So being really open upfront about that. Empathy to guide our people through, and then courage to set a line in the sand. Now they may need to be shorter term goals. We may need to focus on process rather than outcomes. And of course we need to do a lot more in the way of multiple scenario planning. But put a line in the sand. There's a Gary Kasparov, the chess player, quote about better to have a bad plan than no plan. So set a goal, put a line in the sand, you can always adjust. Number 6, not enough empathy. So different people have different concerns under the current circumstances. It may be financial, it may be health, it may be time stresses, it may be family stresses. And of course then how we respond to that is different along the fight, flight, submissive, aggressive spectrum. And the way we respond to that as a manager, as a colleague, as a peer, can make or break the relationship, but also the other person's capacity to get on with things and be productive. So what can we do about that? Because we really want empathy to be part of our mantra under these circumstances, and it can be difficult to conjure up when we've got our own stresses going on. So a few things we can bring into play. More in the way of one-on-one meetings. So at least half an hour per direct report per week where we're spending time just listening. This is the listening tour of your people and reflectively listening. It's their time to talk about whatever they want. It can be professional, it can be personal, so it can be business, it can be outside of business, but let them talk about what's going on for them and just be there to listen. Then you can take a collaborative mindset and see if you can brainstorm to work out some solutions together. And then of course you want to support them according to their personality type or their thinking preference profile. So for some people they need very practical solutions. For other people they want process and structure. Some want to be left to their own devices and opportunity for creative solutions. Others need more personal contact with you along the way or more social interaction. But you want to tailor the solution collaboratively in conjunction with the other person. Number 7, the flip side of not enough empathy is too much empathy and not enough accountability. And I'm bringing this up because I'm hearing stories just in a couple of cases of where a manager has gone overboard to accommodate their people, but as a result the burden is falling on other people in the team who have greater capacity right now, and that's feeling overwhelming to some of them. So As we have already talked about, we may need to measure more according to input than outcome at the moment, but those measures do need to be in place and the accountability does need to be in place. So that's it. Well done. You've done the first 7 of the 21 most common mistakes being made online at the moment. These 7, of course, were more to do with the running of online meetings. The next 14 are some very quick and easy strategies around technical issues like lighting and sound and camera angles and so forth. So we'll be looking at all of that. Meanwhile, if you would like to feel more confident and have more impact and be more natural in your live as well as your online presentations, please sign up for our online Simply Presenting course, which is seriously the most comprehensive and simple and clear and fun online course available. It includes our best-selling Amazon book. It includes video explanations of each chapter, audio explanations separately, downloadable worksheets, summaries. It's great. And it's normally $847, and to you, because you signed up for this little short course, we are doing it for only $147. So that's just a crazy level discount. So please hop on board. I'd love to see you there as well. I'm Carolyn Crawford from F2F Communications. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Cheers.